We're joined by David Otto Endeley, Director on Security for Horn of Africa Institute for Peace and Security Governance based in London. Thank you very much, David, for joining us. What are some of the key outcomes of Macron's Africa trip, and has his trip been successful?
Penina, I think it's very early to determine the success of this trip based on the fanfare that we saw France receiving in Cameroon, Benin, and Guinea-Bissau. I think the big question, of course, is whether this diplomacy which we saw being accepted by, of course, naturally being accepted by these presidents to receive France, will have any long-term significance, because of course you will have backdoor channels of discussion by French ministers and French businesses to revive or to reboot French influence in the continent. Of course, it does demonstrate that France no longer has the front role play that it used to have, and then it has to compete with other countries in what is now much more a multipolar world order. But I don't think we would see any significant successes at this point in time. Of course, France has promised to fund the education sector in countries like Guinea-Bissau. It has promised to open up the archives, in some of the human rights abuses that were committed by French troops in Cameroon. It did return some artifacts, to Benin Republic, but it's too early to determine if there's been any success besides, the diplomatic friendliness that we've seen.
How important was Macron's visit? And also, David, what are some of French interests in Guinea-Bissau, which is a former Portuguese colony?
I think, first of all, what France will be looking at is to expand, of course. Mind you that French is losing a lot of support in countries like Central African Republic to other, big nations. It's lost a lot of influence in Mali. And of course, there are other considerations that its former colonies are making to link up with other very powerful nations. I think what France is looking at in countries like Guinea-Bissau is to look for other countries that it did not have as much influence as it did in areas like Mali and Central African Republic, and perhaps more so in Cameroon, where the president made it very clear that they have long-standing relationship with countries like China, with countries like Russia, and therefore they will only do what is in their best interest. But I think education will be one focus. I think the French will also want to involve in defense, in commerce, but more so they would want to be looking at winning hearts and minds of African countries away from some of the countries that abstained and those who voted against the support of Ukraine with the Russian invasion. They want to win more friends, but of course I don't think it's as easy as that, because of course most of these African countries will be looking at what is their interest, what is their national interest against what is French interest.